Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a realistic mine that explodes when my character steps on it. And as you can see, this is final result of this tutorial. Alright, at the beginning I'm going to show you assets that I'm going to use in this tutorial. First is this landmine model that I have downloaded from Sketchfab, and it's available for free, and it is modeled and published by Test Models username. And also I'm going to use this realistic starter VFX pack that contains lots of smoke and explosion VFX particles, and I'm also using this explosion transparent background PNG that I have downloaded from High Clip Art website. And I'm also going to use this explosion sound effect, which is published by Ahmed Abdullah. Alright, first I'm going to set some physics asset for my character, which is in this case is this SKM Queen. I right click and from create I choose physics asset and click on create and assign. Now I click on create asset, and here I have a physics asset for my character mesh. Now here I click on simulate, and as you can see the ragdoll simulation is running. Alright, now I save and close this, and now I open my third person character blueprint. I need to make some changes here. First, as you can see, by default the camera boom is connected to capsule component, but I'm going to connect it to the mesh. And also I change my collision preset of my character mesh from character mesh to ragdoll. I set it to ragdoll. Alright, now I compile and close this. As you can see, in this folder I have all of my assets that I showed you in the beginning of this video. And as you can see, this is my mine model, and now I'm going to create a new blueprint class in type of actor, and I name it mine underscore BP. Alright, first I add a skeletal mesh because my mine model is actually a skeletal mesh, and if you are using a static mesh, you should add a static mesh instead of a skeletal mesh. Alright, here I select my mine model, I add it here. As you can see, the scale is so huge, so I'm going to reduce it to 0.05. okay, and now I add a bugs collision and I place it on the top of my mine, and also I scale it down like this. I scale it this way and place it on the top of my mine mesh. Okay, now I add a particle system in type of cascade, and I name it explosion. Here in this section, from VFX starter pack, I choose explosion big B. Alright, and I also set auto activation to false. I set auto activate to false. Alright, now I add another particle system, cascade particle system. Alright, here I choose a smoke P smoke B, this smoke particle effect, and I also set auto activate to false. Okay, and I also add a decal. I search for decal here, and now I should create a material for my decal. As you can see, I have a texture here. This is my explosion transparent texture. Now I'm going to create a material. Now I right click and create a material and name it explosion decal. I select the material, I set material domain to deferred decal, and also I set blend mode to translucent. Now I drag and place my texture here, and I connect RGB to the base color, and I also connect opacity to here. Alright, now I apply and save, and here I choose my explosion decal, and now I place mine into the scene, but I should rotate my decal 90 degrees like this. I rotate it minus 90 degrees, and I set visibility to false. Set visible to false. So this decal is not visible by default, but it will be visible after explosion. Alright, now I open my Mine blueprint, and from event graph here I select my box collision, and I search for on component begin overlap. Alright, first I cast to my character blueprint, in this case third person character BP, cast to third person character. Alright, now I connect object to the other actor, and now here I drag my explosion VFX particle system, and I drag a node and search for activate. Now here I add play sound at location, and for location I drag my skeletal mesh, which is actually the mesh of my mine, and I search for get world location, and connect this to the location. And here I select my sound, my explosion sound asset. Okay. Now here I drag a node and search for launch character. From my third person character reference, I drag a node and search for launch character function. I connect it here, and in launch velocity I leave X and Y to 0, but I set Z to 1000. Alright. Now I add a delay node and set the duration to 0.05. And now I should activate the ragdoll simulation. So I drag a node from my character reference here, my third person character reference, and search for mesh here. And I search for set simulate physics, connect it here and check this. Alright. Now I drag my decal and search for set visibility and check new visibility, so my explosion decal will be visible. And now I destroy my skeletal mesh. I drag my skeletal mesh and search for destroy component. I also drag my box collision and do the same for box collision. Search for destroy component. Alright. Now I activate my smoke here, this one. I didn't set correct name for a smoke particle. By default it's named particle system, but it's actually my smoke. So I fix the name here, smoke. And same as the explosion, I set here, I set it to activate. Okay. Now I add another delay node, set duration to 10, and after 10 seconds I deactivate my smoke particle again. Okay, now I compile and run the game, and as you can see, if I step on the mine, the explosion triggers and my character launches to the air. Alright, if this tutorial was useful for you, please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.